iRock Radio, it's Karolyi with Stephen Wayne. How are you, Stephen?
I'm doing well, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. On the radio, it seems like it's just you and I that are here. On video, they're like, why aren't they introducing the guy on the couch?
Right.
Why don't you introduce
our very
friend?
good friend from All That Remains, Mr. Phil Labonte. How are you, brother?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming down, bro.
The world headquarters of rock. This is your first visit here.
Yep, first time, and it's pretty impressive, to be honest with you. I mean, it's cool to see that you have like so much capability here, you know, with the video and with the live room and stuff. It's going to be it'll be pretty big things, I think.
We got a little bit of everything here.
A little bit of everything.
And before we get into all that remains stuff and everything that we're going to talk about, thank you, because you were with us right at the very first day here, where you called up and you helped us launch this thing, and that meant a lot to us, you know, because when you come from WCCC and all the things that Stephen and I and everybody did at the station over there for all those years, coming here, we didn't really know what to expect, what the reaction was going to be from the bands and the artists and the managers and all that stuff, and you were one of many that stepped forward for us, and we appreciate that very much.
I mean, I think that, you know, people don't think of, you know, radio the way that they used to. It's not terrestrial radio anymore. It's like, you know, you got cars that are streaming live internet stuff all the time, you know?
Right.
And people will run Pandora and stuff like that on their phones and run it through their cars and stuff. So I think that the idea that, you know, radio is the realm of, or the future of radio is terrestrial radio, I think that's probably pretty easily debunked nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. And you're right. With every new line of cars that come out, there's Wi-Fi capabilities. With every phone that's turned in,
I just bought a new Jeep, and I can turn it into a hotspot if I want.
Yeah,
it's cool.
That's
you know,
pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And of course, you have the iRock Radio app on your phone.
Yes, sir.
Of course he does. He's going to be holding that thing all day now, all night, all week. When he's on tour, it's iRock Radio.
So we're close to the release of the new All That Remains album.
Yes, sir.
On the 24th, that's going to be available. What is the band, or you know, any of the bands expect these days? We all know that album sales aren't what they were years ago. So what are your expectations as an artist when you know, okay, release date is February 24th? What are you hoping happens with that?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to expect, and so I try not to expect anything, because I mean, if you expect, you know, I don't want to feel like, you know, I'm let down. But at the same time, it's like if we sold 10,000 copies the first week, it's like that's cool, because you know, nobody buys records anymore. You know, I mean, this was years ago that I heard this statistic, but I mean, probably like 5 years ago. But you know, 1 year, like literally 50% of teenagers didn't buy any CDs at all. You know, and I'm sure it's only gone down.
Sure.
You know, since. But I mean, people don't think of CDs anymore. You know, they think of songs. You go ask kids, you know, what records are in your iPhone, and they don't have records.
Right.
They have songs.
Exactly.
You know, it really is. It's like, well, I've got this song by this person, this song by this, and it's your phone becomes your whole mixtape or whatever, you know, when it comes to stuff you download.
Have you guys ever considered not doing an album per se, and maybe just
I've considered that a lot. every time I'm home for a little while, and then it's like you got to go back on tour, I was like, man, I really like home a lot.
Well, maybe do like 4 songs instead. Like, why do a whole album? I mean,
yeah.
I think as time goes forward, like we're doing with iRock Radio, you got to think things differently. And I'm wondering what the future will be with releases. Will they be just singles? And which is harder for a rock band to release a single.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, I think I heard Tommy Lee talking about that, or maybe it was Nikki Sixx. I'm not sure, but talking about just putting out EPs, and it makes sense. I mean, for the way, like, especially being, you know, a guy that puts out full records or has historically done that, it does feel like the only songs people are aware of are the singles. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, I know that those are the ones that people hear the most, but it's almost like, you know, people aren't buying the records anymore, you know, and it's kind of a drag, because, you know, when you spend all that time working on, you know, 10 songs, 12 songs, whatever, and the label's really only going to do 3 singles or whatever, so you feel like, well, there's all these cool things and cool ideas that we put on other songs that, you know, never really get the kind of attention that we feel like they deserve, you know, and I think that that's going to become more and more as time progresses. So I don't know that we'll put out full records in the future. I don't know that we won't. I don't know that we will. You know, we've talked about doing just EPs or just doing a few songs and stuff, but record labels are still dinosaurs. They're acting like they still think that it's 1994, or whatever, they behave that way, and they structure the contracts and everything that way. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know what's going to happen.
That was my question, was going to be, what are you contractually obligated through a record company? An EP is only 4 songs. I mean, do they want mass quantity, or do they want just something that they can viably put out and sell? Is that what it's going to come to?
Well, the record label is always going to want as much as they can get. Mm-hmm. So they want you to do as many songs as you can, because at the very least that gives them more options for a single. When we got done with this record, and the label was kind of pushing for another single, and we're like, we personally think we have 5 on this record. We're not doing another song.
Right.
Go, piss up a rope.
Pick one of the 5.
Yeah, right.
Free to speak freely.
Yeah,
This is the internet.
Yeah.
This is the internet.
This is whatever that video is. This is endless. You can say whatever you want.
You guys can fuck off.
Yeah, there you go.
So, because we feel like we've got a really good record. We're really excited about it, and so they're always going to push, for more, because if you don't do it, they never know if you're going to have a cool idea that they think is stronger than something else. Contractually, usually our records or the deals have been, I think, 10 songs or 11 songs are on it to make what they call full rate for publishing.
Right.
So, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't see the point of doing full records anymore, because who buys a record? But I mean, who knows what'll happen?
It's funny, when Steven and I got the single from you, we laughed at the title, because I think everybody can identify with that title. This probably won't end well.
Yeah, the thing, like the idea of that is, it's like everybody has been in a position in their life where they're like, this is a fucking horrible idea.
Right.
Let's do it.
Probably won't end well, but we're going to do it.
This is probably a terrible idea.
Right.
But,
And it was telltale to everything else that went on surrounding, which we'll talk about a little in a little while. This probably won't end well.
Dude, I think it's going fucking great, if you ask me. This is the most fun, promo for a record I've ever been a part of. People are getting mad, and I just sit at home and I'm like,
hey, let them get all spun up, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. We got Phil from All That Remains here, of course, and yeah. Hey, listen, if they're going to talk about the record, it might as well be something that you said in the press, and then let them have at it.
It's funny, like Mike was our guitar player. Mike was talking. He's like, so yeah, I met some of my his girlfriend. He's got a girlfriend that's he's still kind of meeting friends of hers and stuff. And so she was at work, and they came in, and they're like, oh yeah, we blah blah blah, and she's like, yeah, I know I'm dating Mike or whatever. And they're like, so Phil Labonte, huh? And I'm like, what the fuck did I do?
That guy?
Yeah.
That guy.
You're in his band,
nice
really?
lead singer you got there, huh, pal?
Our managers were at NAMM this year, and I was like, man, I'm glad I'm not in NAMM. And he's like, oh, you're at fucking NAMM, dude.
Yeah, whether you're physically there or not,
you're here. People are talking. I'm like, well, good. We got a record coming up.
Any press is good press, bro.
That's right, man.
Yeah.
So before we get into all that, let's talk about, you got a tour that's about to get underway, right? And in addition to, let me ask you about the video, because I was watching the video for the single, and to me, I don't know where you filmed it, but it looks very much Western Massachusetts, New England. That house I've seen 1,000 times as I drive down streets and stuff. Where was that filmed?
It was done in New Hampshire. Initially, we were going to burn it down.
Oh, really?
That's what we wanted to do, and we'd gotten with the town, and they'll allow you to burn down buildings if the fire department comes out, and they'll use it for training and stuff. But we couldn't get the schedule right, so unfortunately, we couldn't do the whole playing in front of a house as it's burning down, which would be awesome. Wow. But it still came out cool. All the drone shots are really cool, and I tell you what, that video makes me want a drone so goddamn bad. Those things are so fucking neat.
Somewhere on this tour, you'll be able to get one of those.
I'm sure.
Oh, you're on your way, pal.
Man.
And the tour, we just saw a whole bunch of dates that were released. For those who are listening and watching in the Connecticut area, we've got a Webster Theater date. I believe it's Friday, May 8th, off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome.
We do 2 legs. We go out to the West Coast first and head out there, do Salt Lake, California, up the coast into Western Canada, which we haven't been to Western Canada in a while, so we're excited to get back. And then we come home. We got a couple of weekend things until the beginning of May, and then it's down to Florida to start the second leg with In Flames. So it's cool. Like last time we were on tour with those guys was when my voice exploded and I had to go home. The doctor's orders were like, go home, don't talk. We have to take a look at this and stuff. So I had to jump off the tour. So hopefully this tour there will be no vocal issues. I don't think there will be, but.
Did you learn techniques and things to do to preserve that voice, or is it just something that happens?
I learned that I have acid reflux really bad.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So, and the older I get, obviously, the more time there is to mess with your throat and stuff. So I mean, it's as simple as just taking Prilosec, or taking one of the multiple acid reflux pills out there, and taking that consistently, and I don't have problems. So. But it was a pretty big deal. It was a big scare. The reason I had to go back and quit the tour is the doctor was like, "Look, I need you to shut up for 2 weeks, so that way I can take another look at this. And if it still looks like this, we're going to be afraid of like cancer. So we'd have to get a biopsy and stuff. So thankfully, nothing. After I took the time off, he was like, "No, this is fine." But that was the big thing, and so like that kind of gives you a scare. So.
How do you stop talking for 2 weeks? I can't imagine.
I couldn't do it. Yes, I can't.
No way could Steven do it.
I couldn't do it, bro.
Well, I did stay home most of the time. Like I didn't go anywhere. So
did you get one of those bells like the guy in Breaking Bad? He just he just kept ringing the bell for communication.
No, I mean mostly it was just tapping on the iPhone as quickly as I could. But yeah, it's a pain. It's tough, and especially like. On tour, there are times when it's, I should take a day off from talking and everybody's, hey, what's going on? I mean, people don't think about how much we vocalize as humans. You know what I mean? Everything that, our entire communication, the way we communicate is almost exclusively vocally, So it's a pain in the butt, but what are you going to do?
What about some festival dates? You jumping on any festivals?
We've got some festivals in Europe. We're going back to do Download, and we'll do Rock 'em Ring, Rock 'em Park, and a couple other the big ones out there, which is really cool. It's been a couple years since we went. It's a short jump, but we have new management now. Recently, All That Remains has new management, and they've got some connections over in Europe that our previous manager didn't have. So we're hoping that, and also I think Razor and Tie hired someone that's actually from Europe to actually have a person there, because they don't have a until now they didn't have a European office. So I met her the other day. She's from Amsterdam, so it's cool to have someone. It'd be cool if it'd be
all
cool.
kinds of connections.
It'd be cool if the tour, you flew to Amsterdam and that's where it started. You can get yourself set up for the rest of the rest of the tour.
Of going over there.
Well, it's the thing about Europe is it's I know I can't talk about that.
We got more with Phil from All That Remains coming up on iRock Radio.
You're professional. Okay, Jesus Christ.
So, like a grown-up and stuff?
Huh? Yeah.
It's like a grown-up.
Yeah.
He's in the big boy chair, notice?
Yep.
We're on the couch. We get the little kiddies.
All right, here we go. Ready? We still just going to roll?
You're over here, pal.
Yeah, put them in the bucket.
Put them in the bucket.
We're going to put a mark.
Those are large suckers.
The iRock candy bucket. Yeah, that gets...
Dome is addicted to all that.
Here you go.
No matter what we put in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, ready? iRock Radio, it is Karolyi and Stephen Wang.
You were just touting your professionalism.
Yeah. If we were live, I wouldn't have messed that up. All right, ready? iRock Radio, it is Karolyi with Stephen Wayne hanging out here in Studio 3C with our friend Phil from All That Remains, man. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for hanging with us today.
No sweat.
We've talked about the new album and the single and the video and some of the touring and all that stuff. And leading up to all this, there's all kinds of press that artists do before albums come out, and you hope that you get some interviews and articles written about you and all that stuff. And the one that's kind of like set the benchmark here is the one you did with Revolver, right?
Yep.
Right.
So for those who don't know, paraphrase what was discussed in that article that caused some stir and controversy.
They asked, had I ever done anything that got myself in trouble, and I was like, well, I mean, on the Sounds of the Underground DVD in 2005, I said the word faggot, and that didn't go over well with a lot of people that are. It seems like they're professionally offended by everything, and so then it became a thing when people start chiming in and blogs start chiming in, and my point really is that if you're gonna have a society that values freedom of expression, you have to understand that people are going to be offended by some things sometimes, and that no one has a right to not be offended. You can not like something, that's fine, but when you start talking about about government taking action against something that someone says, or groups taking action, then you end up with shit like Charlie Hebdo. You know what I mean? You can end up with people saying, I'm really offended, so I'm going to take a violent action. And that's when things are unacceptable. It's saying a word and offending someone, hurting someone's feelings. It happens all the time, and it's going to happen. People really, really, really need to stop being so outraged by everything. But, if you're gonna say you have a free society, well, that means that you're gonna get things like Piss Christ. You're gonna get things like the cover of Charlie Hebdo that offended Muslims, and you're gonna get people that are gonna say words that you don't like. So
it's not like you're not well versed in the First Amendment either, and it's not like you're just speaking just out of anger or saying something just to offend. I mean, you're a fucking smart guy, and the First Amendment backwards and forwards. So it amazes me that people just take these things and run with them without sitting down and actually talking to you and saying, hey, what did you mean by that?
Yeah. I think that in today's society, especially with the internet and how quickly people are connected and how quickly things can become go viral or whatever you want to call it, there's gonna be people that are just gonna that are knuckleheads that are just gonna say, well, you can't say this, or respond with an emotional response without actually talking about the issue. So I mean, I get it all the time. I mean, like, I don't know what I do that's so controversial, but apparently I can piss some people off.
Well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think your point is that you can say it, but people are saying you can't say that.
Yeah.
Right. You actually, I can. You may not like it, but I can say this. I think a lot of people don't understand the First Amendment and freedom of speech and all that kind of stuff. Right.
And there's the whole Bill of Rights is there to protect existing rights, that we have because we're humans. You know what I mean? Whether it be the First Amendment and the protection of speech, or the protection to exercise your religion, or the Fourth Amendment protecting your home and your property, or the Second Amendment protecting all those amendments. These are rights that are they're not gifts. They're not something that we have because of the government. There's a lot of people that talk about, like, a living constitution or some other that horse shit, which is a complete absurdity. It's the only reason they try to argue that it's a living constitution is so that way they can pass laws that are outside of the scope of the Constitution. That's the only reason for it, is because the Constitution was designed to limit what the government could do. So when you're trying to say, oh, well, it's a living Constitution and it's to be interpreted, what you're saying is, I don't like the government being constrained. So the point of the Bill of Rights is to protect people from government. And sometimes that means that you're going to hear things you don't like. Sometimes there's going to be terrible things that'll happen. Like, bad things will happen. Sometimes some dude's going to get a gun, and go, shoot up a school or whatever. And it's not in any way saying that those things are right, but it is saying that you don't have the right to take away everybody's rights because of one person that is nuts or offended, or or a cop that wants to come into your house, or wants to dig around in your car. They're there for a reason. The protections are there for a reason.
You said something earlier that made me think, and it's something I've always thought as well, that there are certain groups and certain specific people who look to find things to protest. It's almost like it's their livelihood.
It is their livelihood. It is profitable. If you can get enough people to get upset about something, you can get those people to give you money.
With your money, we will fix this problem.
Oh, did you hear about this? It's so terrible. Give me a donation to my whatever, and then
your just cause.
Yeah,
what you feel is right.
Exactly.
Your just cause.
And then we'll go ahead and we'll go to the government and we'll get the government
to
pass a law that will stop that bad feeling. And that's purely what it is. There is an entire industry of people that are just looking for something to be upset about. It's almost like ambulance chasers for outrage. It's like you hear about like lawyers that are like, always saying, or you see commercials or whatever. They're like, have you been injured? Have you been hurt? It's like, that's the same thing. Have you been offended? Have you been wronged? I can make your problem go away. We'll pass a law, and then you'll never be offended again. And that's a total load of shit.
Well, what do you think is a bigger problem? People who don't understand the First Amendment and what it is intended for, or people who don't really hear what you're saying? They don't really listen to, because we get it all the time. Steven says something, and I don't listen to him. And then he's like, why don't you and I do the same thing. I'm like, why don't you ever listen to me? But we're like a married couple. But what's worse, a lot of people don't understand the First Amendment, number one. And to complicate that, they don't actually listen to what people say.
I think you're right. I think that it's not just the First Amendment. I think that it's the whole concept of a constitution that limits government. Like that right there is something that people don't get. A lot of people. They think the government should do this. The government should fix that. Well, it's like the government has become, the secular religion, or religion for secular people that don't have a God that they worship. Well, the government should fix this, and I just don't think that I don't just not think. I know for a fucking fact that's not the role of government. That is just not the fucking role of government. The government is not fucking there to put Band-Aids on your fucking owies.
My question is, and it's weird to me because you're trying to explain the First Amendment to people, and we're not going to harp on this, but don't you think there's fucking somebody else that said a lot fucking worse that people should be worried about?
Yeah, I mean, people get. I mean, like I said, for some reason I'm a polarizing person, and you either like me or you don't like me, and that's just the way it is, and I'm completely fucking fine with that. But I mean, it's been like that forever, so why change now? But there are definitely people that are just out there looking for something to get upset about, and looking for something to some cause to chase after, and it's not always rational. But it is what it is.
Do you think
so I just say more shit to piss people off.
Just keep going. Why not?
Do you think it's not fair that you don't get, I don't know, without throwing anybody under the bus, that they take what you're saying at their own liberty, and you know what I'm saying? Do you think it's not fair that they're not giving the whole story? They know this is going to be a hot button issue. They know that you're going to get thrown into a fire in a frying pan, but yet they're not willing to tell the whole story and the whole reason why you said what you said.
Yeah, and I mean, I could give a shit about fair, but I think you're accurate. I mean, I've got thick enough skin where people can criticize me all they want. I don't give a shit. But I think you're right. Yeah, there's people that are like, ooh, let me jump on this. This is going to be a thing, so let me jump on this, or let me throw my 2 cents in and stuff, and whatever. If they want to, that's fine. But if they actually sit down with me, I'll probably pull their fucking argument apart.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going to get that now.
Well, that kind of we're talking with Phil from All That Remains on iRock Radio, and the guy from Machine Head, he reacted to your comments in Revolver and other things like that. And how do you take that? He sat and he wrote this whole long blog, I guess, and put it out there, and he's not happy with your comments and all that kind of stuff. How do you feel about him reacting to what you said and that whole thing?
I don't care at all. I mean, like, whatever. I mean, okay, so, Rob Flynn doesn't like what I said. Whatever.
And that's his objective. I mean, that's his prerogative from the First Amendment to not like it, and he can respond to it. You know what I mean? But without knowing the whole story, that's the part that pisses me off the most. Is not knowing the whole story and just being reactionary to something that somebody said pisses me off.
Yeah, and like he can voice his opinion all he wants. Like, I mean, my reply when I heard about it was just lol. I butthurted Rob Flynn. That was it. And so that's about the quality of reply that it deserves. The big, long, self-important, big, long thing of just full of crap, to be honest with you.
It was indulgent.
Yeah, it was very indulgent.
Yeah.
So
and again, it's his prerogative, whatever.
Sure.
But on the other token, the media guy in me looks at it and says, maybe he looked at this as an opportunity to get his band's name in the press too. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know if Machine Head has a new record out or not.
Yeah, but maybe
as a matter of fact, yeah.
They do?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Who knows?
You're welcome, Rob.
Who knows? So what's the plan from here? Any more controversy in the works?
Yeah, what are you planning at?
Hopefully.
Who are you pissing off next?
Who's the next we're going to insult? Let's do it right here on iRock Radio.
Genuinely, I think that it's just me being me, and then people get bummed, and so that's fine. I don't know, but hopefully there's someone that's going to get worked up. I went on and did a thing on MSNBC a couple weeks back, and we talked about the same subject, and it went well, and they called and they said that they want me to come back. So if I'm going to be on, it was on their on the show called The Docket, which is right now it's a web show. But if they're going to have me come back, cool.
That is cool. I saw that, and actually, I thought she handled the whole thing really well. She seemed really cool.
She is.
She seemed very smart. She knew what she was talking about. The one thing I didn't get, that kind of I sat there why does she keep saying that? She kept saying the same thing, yes, you have the right to do that, but why are you doing that?
And I kept telling her to piss people off.
And that's what it was. And she kept going back there. She goes, I know, but why
can't you be nice?
Right. And that was driving me crazy because you explained why, and it's obvious why. It's just you have the right to do that.
Yeah,
and she was very nicely dressed.
Yeah, she was cool. It was weird because it was in and out too. It was because they're going.
Yeah.
The schedule was all set and stuff, and it was definitely there was not a lot of there wasn't a whole lot of prep. It was just put your mic on, sit down,
let's go.
So I was like, all right.
Sometimes that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, thankfully.
That way you didn't have a chance to rethink anything.
Yeah, right. So the terrible words just fall out. Right?
Well, that's the thing that I think is different from you and a lot of other people. I think a lot of people don't think before they speak, and I think you know exactly what you're saying. And it comes from here. And if it comes from your heart and it is who you are, who can object to that? I mean, it is what it is.
Well, the metal blogs can object.
Well, there you go.
they object to my existence, which is hilarious.
Well, I think they flunked history.
They probably.
Yeah.
So come see All That Remains on tour this summer.
You'll learn a little bit.
That's right.
I promise not to talk about the Constitution from stage.
Yeah. Read some. Bring a historical book or something and just read from it. Make it a spoken.
Will you sign
word
history
thing.
books? American history books?
I would.
Autograph it?
I would.
I know Ollie does the tab books. You could do the American history books.
So how's the rest of the band? Everybody good?
Yeah, everybody's doing good. Jeannie's engaged.
Wow.
You
just broke his heart.
Breaking hearts across the country. They're like,
that hurt more than.
She's engaged to a guy named Scott. Real nice dude.
Nice.
Mike and Mike just bought a condo. Jason, I'm not sure what he's been up to. Shoveling snow in Boston.
Probably, yeah.
And Ollie's still with Beth, and they're
Ollie
really,
being Ollie?
Yeah, Ollie being Ollie.
He should come down and do some radio with us.
He likes it.
He's funny.
He likes it.
He is the man.
He's a character already.
Yeah.
Well, in May when you come to Hartford and you play the Webster, we'll have you guys come and hang out again.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thanks for everything, man. Not just here, but everything in the CCC years, the acoustic stuff you did, and the interviews and the shows. I mean, the last time, prior to this, the last time he and I were on stage was that Christmas Chaos that you guys played.
Yep.
And that was the day after the Sandy Hook, situation. And that was a heavy night. But you guys were awesome to play that night. And some of the other bands were questioning whether they should play or not.
Right.
And it wasn't, the wrong thing to question. They just didn't know. None of us knew who had ever been through something like that. But all the bands played, and of course you guys were there, and it was just a special night.
That was the day after. Rob got hit by a taxi cab in New York City.
Really? Wow. And he made it through.
Yeah, he made it.
But you've been with us since the beginning at CCC, and we've been with you guys, so we're kind of like family, and we feel very.
Absolutely.
We can't thank you enough for coming into iRock and hanging out with us. And
anytime,
bro, you're the best, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Get that new All That Remains album.
The Order of Things
on the 24th.
Yes.
Get it.
Yes.
Download it. Buy it. Whatever you got to do. Right.
That's right.
That's right.
Buy that record.
Buy that there record.